Tonight, it's the Jim Mora Show, brought to you by Louisiana Gas Service Company, by Coors Extra Gold, by Rallies, and by your local Dodge dealers. Now, with the coach, here's your host for the Jim Mora Show, Lionel Bienvenu.
All right. Thank you very much. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Are there any Bears fans in the crowd tonight? No. Just kidding, just kidding. If there were, they'd be throwing snowballs at me right now. Playoff game 1990, well, that's history. But speaking of snowballs, good things snowballed for the Saints in Sunday's second half. Things we'll look at and talk about coming up. Saints 28, Bears 6. The defense scored the touchdowns, 2 of them. And we have one of the scorers with us tonight, Robert Pig Goff. Questions from the audience, of course, here and out at Champions. Jim Gallagher, sideliner. What more could you want? Oh, the coach. Well, here he is, Jim Mora. Jim? How are you? Good. Good crowd. Man.
We must have won yesterday,
I
huh?
think so,
God
Jim.
dang, right.
All I can say is this. That must have been one heck of a halftime speech.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
Come on now.
That's right. I just said, hey, guys, just go out and try to do a little bit better today, please.
And apparently it worked, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, great second half. The first half, though, no scoring from the Saints. Only 2 field goals for the Bears. Some good defense by the Saints as we get to the highlights. In the first half, Jim Harbaugh, he'll be sacked by Pat Swilling.
Right. We had good rush, and they had actually doubled up Pat on that play, but he broke loose and came in for the sack. We had good coverage on that play also.
Later, Bears are deep in Saints territory. 4th down and 1 at the 5. Brad Muster is stopped by Swilling. Big play.
This was a very big play for our defense. They had taken over after a fumble punt, and they tried to go for it on 4th and short and couldn't make it.
It was 6-0 at the half. Third quarter, Saints scored on their first possession. Bobby Hebert fakes a reverse to Wesley Carroll. This one goes to Eric Martin, 52 yards for the touchdown.
Right, this was a little play-action fake that we've been working on in practice, and a little counter-action. And we got fooled there a little bit defensively, and we got Eric open, and we capitalized on it and got a quick touchdown, and that got us back in the ball game.
You felt better at that point after
a lot
getting the
better.
points on the board?
You bet.
Second half, 4th quarter. Still a close game, Jim. It was 7-6 after that touchdown.
That's close.
But not for long, though. A biggie for the Saints in the 4th quarter. Hebert goes deep again on this play. This time it goes to Wesley Carroll, the guy he faked to on the one before. 72 yards and a score.
Here again, we caught their defense doing some things they shouldn't be doing, and they had some plays back there in the secondary where they weren't very disciplined, and we got Wes open on a post route, and he had good concentration on the ball. Bobby threw it in there, and we got a 72-yard touchdown. That's a quick score, and that's kind of like
14-6, and the defense got into the act here. Pig Goff picked up the fumble caused by Ricky Jackson.
Ricky Jackson got the hit, and Pig picked it up. His first touch. Oh, you missed the best part.
We're going to get that later, though. He's our guest.
Oh, okay,
he's coming
okay,
on. Don't worry.
Okay.
It was 21-6, and then with 2:23 left, Harbaugh's pass is tipped. Reggie Jones ended the scoring here.
Right. This was this iced the game for us, no question about it. Although I thought we were in pretty good shape up to this point, but this was Reggie had a great game. He really played well, and this just kind of topped it off, running it in for a touchdown.
That's right, 28-6, the final score. Saints are now 1-1. Jim, the turning point of the game.
Well,
you
go
thought
ahead.
it came right at the start of the third quarter?
I thought, here we're down 6-0 at halftime, and we needed something good to happen to us. And we kicked off to start the second half, and we held them in 3 downs, and they punted, no yards gained, and we come right back for a touchdown. So that got us up 7-6 on. And I thought those 2 series, that's the 3rd down play there. It's 3rd and 10 now. They got a punt. And we get the ball, and we score right away on our first possession. So here it is to Eric right here. So I felt like that defensive series to start the half, the offensive series right away were the turning points.
28-6, the final. Now, coming up next on the Jim Mora Show, the Saints fans get their first crack at the coach. We go to Champions Restaurant for some questions. We'll do that when we come back. place is rocking. The Dome was rocking Sunday when the Saints started beating up on the Bears. I know the streets were packed as well afterwards with fans celebrating the win. And I think they're still celebrating over this one. Let's check it out, see if they are. Go out now to Champions Restaurant in Metairie where Ron Swoboda is amongst the crowd. Ron?
Hello, Lionel. Hello, Coach. I can tell you in this crowd, Carl Smith is a god with his second-half play calling. But we've got some questions for you from a couple of people here in the crowd. What's your name and what is your question?
Coach Mora, my name is Robert Benny, and my question is, being Ironhead, the blocker that he is, have you considered using him as a tight end since we're short on tight ends and running with two running backs, halfbacks, to throw a defense off balance?
Who's that, Craig? Is that, I think, yeah. Robert, we've got Craig prepared to play tight end. Since we've gone into these last two games with just two tight ends, we've got Craig to play prepared to play some tight end if we were to lose both of those guys or needed to play two tight ends and just lost one. But we don't think he's as capable right now as our other two guys that we work with most of the time there.
Okay, Coach. Oh, your question, your name?
Coach Moore, my name's Ed Lettier. My question is what did you tell the team at halftime to change their performance?
Ed, I just told the studio audience I didn't tell him anything, and I really didn't say much to him. We were playing good at the first half. You know, we'd had some things go a little bit wrong here. We had some drop passes and things like that, but it wasn't like we were not trying to win or not playing hard or didn't have a good effort and things like that. And they realized this, and they just came out the second half, and we just kept playing hard like we were the first half, and things started going well for us, and we got a few plays and won the ball game. So it didn't take any major adjustments or any big halftime speech, believe me.
All right. Well, whatever it was, it sure worked. Your name and your question.
Coach, my name is Rick Fowler. My question is, are you concerned about the lack of tackles made by our inside linebackers this year versus last year, especially Vaughn Johnson?
Not at all. I think both of our inside linebackers, Sam and Vaughn, are outstanding players. They both played very well yesterday. Along with everybody else on our team, they played better than they did against Philadelphia last Sunday. And both of those guys are good players and are going to have outstanding years for us, and I'm not concerned at all.
Coach, I'd like to leave you with this. When you activated Kerry Blanchard onto the 47-man roster, is that because you're worried about Morton's leg, Morton Anderson's leg, or to protect Blanchard from some other team that's looking for a kicker?
Well, I'm worried about Morton's leg, Ron, to be honest with you. He's it hasn't responded like we thought it would. He's still bothered by the knee, and we just feel that we need to have Kerry prepared in case Morton can't kick, and that's a possibility. So we like Kerry. We think he's a good kicker, and we want to do what's best for the team, and we feel this is the best move to make.
Okay, Coach, that's it from Champions. Thanks an awful lot. Lionel, bienvenue. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ron. Ron is appearing in conjunction with WWL Radio 870 AM out there at Champions. Now, later, we'll give our studio audience its shot at some questions, but next, a discussion with our player guest. We'll be right back with Pig Golf. Sunday, the Saints defense did not give up a touchdown to the Chicago Bears. On the other hand, the defense scored 2 touchdowns themselves. Our player guest picked up a fumble caused by Ricky Jackson and ambled into the end zones for his first ever NFL touchdown. That player is number 91, Pig Golf. Okay? Usually when you call a person Pig, they get upset with you, but you don't mind at all, do you?
No, I actually I would like for you to call me Pig rather than Piggy. And no problem. I used to have a problem with telling ladies or females that my name is Pig, and they kind of frown, but no, I like the name.
And you got it as a youngster, right?
Yes, sir. It's a home name.
All right.
One of them names I got from my oldest brother.
Now, Pig, the defense Sunday, you feel good about keeping the Bears out of the end zone? They didn't get a touchdown on you guys.
Yeah, the Bears are a fine football team, and we're a fine football team, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to win the ball game, and the defense played well.
Now, 28 second-half points by the Saints, 14 of those courtesy the defense, 7 of those courtesy of yourself. Now, let's look at the play, Pig. You talk about what happened on it here. The snap to Harbaugh.
I'm rushing the passer right now. I really didn't even see Champ where he came from. I heard him popping, and the ball bounced, and it got a good bounce, and I scooped it and went to the end zone.
And we're going to see the spike here. There it is. Score page. Afterwards, when you got to the bench, there was obviously some celebration as well. When you got there, you were greeted by players and coaches as well. John Pease jumped on you, the defensive line coach.
I tell you, I had a little conversation with Coach Pease, just shooting the breeze. I told him if I ever scored a touchdown, I'd throw it over the stands, you know. And I was just one. And I got the opportunity to score. I didn't know what was going on. We practiced scooping the ball every day, repetition over and over. And I didn't know what was going on. I was on an adrenaline natural high.
That's great. All right, Pig, congratulations on that. Thanks for being our player guest tonight. Pig Golf will receive a beautiful Mont Blanc pen from Sue's Jewelers on Metairie Road and an Elmwood Fitness Center membership to keep healthy. So, time now for our sideliner. A couple of weeks ago, Hurricane Andrew went through Florida and Louisiana, causing millions of dollars of damage. Jim Gallagher reports now that the Saints are helping out some of the victims of that hurricane.
$100,000 to the American Red Cross's Disaster Relief Fund.
I urge the people of Louisiana to let's really get involved, and I challenge our fans to really get involved.
So for the first time in the team's history, the fans were allowed to give donations at the game, and the fans responded. They raised over $15,000 as the Saints knocked off the Bears.
The spirit of the people in Louisiana is overwhelming. People said to me over and over again, when I saw people interviewed on television from Louisiana, they were fighters. They were saying, well, the roof was gone, but it's not so bad. We're thankful. We're going to rebuild. And that came to me. I was so proud of the citizens of Louisiana.
The Saints players also felt like they should do their part. So last week at Champions, they pitched in to lend a helping hand.
I feel very fortunate that, my house is still standing and other people weren't as lucky, and it's just a small way to help.
For 4 weeks, Morton Anderson's Champion Sports Bar is pitching in. Saints players are acting as celebrity bartenders, with a percentage of the drinks and their tips going to help Hurricane Andrew's victims.
I know how tragedy it can be because I went through Hurricane Hugo in North Carolina when it came through. And so I think it's all going for a good cause, and that's why we're out tonight to lend a helping hand to the people that need help.
For the Jim Mora Show, I'm Jim Gallagher.
Good deal there. Now coming up, as promised earlier, the Michael Hebert Armchair Quarterback segment. Questions from the studio audience. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Is brought to you by Michael Hebert Furniture.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's time for the Michael Hebert Armchair Quarterback segment. No time to waste. Let's get to the first question.
Hi, Coach. My name is Mindy Usby, and I'd like to know why Fred McAfee's playing time has been decreased.
Well, a couple reasons. One, we can't play all those. It's hard to play all those backs. You know, we only got one football, and it's hard to give them all the ball. And we think, the first game we didn't have that many offensive plays against Philadelphia, and we didn't run the ball very well, so it was difficult to get him in the game. Yesterday, Vaughn was doing a good job, Dalton was doing a good job, so we just will stay with them. But Fred will get his opportunities this year, and he'll do a good job.
All right, next question.
Coach, do you think the NFL should adopt a rule for instant replay similar to what you had in the USFL, where if there was a disputed play, a coach could call a timeout? If it was overruled, the timeout would not be charged?
I didn't like that rule. I really didn't, because there was times when my coaches were up in the press box or up in the press box. They would say something like, "Oh yeah, well, challenge it," or I would say, "Should I challenge it? What can you see on the monitor up there?" And then they wait a minute, and they wouldn't quite know. I like to take it out of the coach's hands and if we're going to have it, let the officials do it, just like You know, we used to do it. I didn't particularly care for the rule we had in the USFL. Too much indecision involved.
All right, let's head to the other side of the audience for more questions.
Okay, Coach, given Floyd Turner's injury, are there any plans to bring in another wide receiver?
If we added another wide receiver to our active roster, it would probably come from our developmental squad. We've got 2 young players, Torrance Small and Marcus Dowdell, that we think a lot of, so we'd probably bring one of them up to the 47-man roster.
All right, next question.
Coach, now that Deion Sanders is back with the Falcons, will you make any changes on your kickoff coverage to lessen his effectiveness?
Well, not really. We really don't make a lot of changes depending upon who we're kicking to. We just kind of emphasize what we got to do and what this guy does best, and emphasize the things that make you a good kickoff coverage team, and that's to hustle down there and not get blocked and stay on your feet and tackle well, you know, and we'll just emphasize that. Our players know that he's a good return guy, and they'll work a little bit harder and be a little bit more focused on what they got to do, and we'll do a fine job against him, I'm sure.
And we'll talk about the Falcons and Deion Sanders in just a couple of minutes. But that's it for the questions tonight. If you can't get to the show, you can get a question in by writing to us here. The address, the Jim Mora Show, 1025 South Jefferson Davis Parkway, New Orleans, Louisiana. The zip is 70125. Now time to give away some furniture. For Michael Hebert's, a new Benchcraft recliner. Jim, as you always do, you're going to pick a winner out of there.
Joseph Rodriguez?
Joseph.
Joseph Rodriguez?
There he is, right in the front row, Joseph.
All right, Joseph's question is this. Have you tried to put Fred McAfee and Vaughn Dunbar in the backfield together at practice, and do you think it would work in a game situation? We have some plays in our offense where we put our 2 halfbacks in the game together. Could be Vaughn and Dalton, or Dalton and Fred, or whatever. And we just haven't used them in a game yet, but I'm sure we will here as the season goes on. But it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
All right, Joseph, congratulations on the new Benchcraft recliner. Michael Hebert will do the honors. And there's your new chair. All right, next week the Saints head to Atlanta to play the Falcons in the new Georgia Dome. We'll talk about Deion Sanders, Chris Miller, Michael Haynes, and the rest when we come back. All right, we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons with head coach Jim Mora in just a couple of minutes. But first, Pig Golf. You told me your mother got to see you for the first time in New Orleans play football this Sunday?
Yeah, I go out to play hard every Sunday, but my mother was here for the first time, and the adrenaline was really flowing. And she told me to do something special for her, and I didn't anticipate scoring a touchdown, but after the game, she said, "You really done something special for me, scoring a touchdown." And it was a great feeling, and it was good for her.
Yeah.
Being there for the first time to see the dome rocking and we come out victorious on top, it was a good feeling.
Yeah, that must have been something, you know, to get your first ever touchdown, but in addition, have your mom there to see it.
Great feeling. Great feeling.
Now, Pig, did Jim Wilkes tell you anything? He picked up a fumble against the Eagles and dropped it and didn't. He may have scored a touchdown. We don't know, but did you guys talk about that or anything?
Well, in the defensive lineman room, we talk and we sometimes joke with one another, but Frank Warren was giving Jim a hard time by picking up the fumble and fumbling it again and picking it up. So I was blessed to get this opportunity to score, so I told him that's how you do it right there.
All right, Pig Golf. Now, it doesn't get any easier in the NFL. You beat the Bears one week, you get the Falcons the next. Jim, like the Saints, the Falcons are 1-1. They lost Sunday 24-17 to the Washington Redskins. Deion Sanders just reported to the Falcons a few days before he came to the game. He was able to make an immediate impact, as you saw in a kickoff return for 99 yards.
Well, he's a great player. He's a great athlete. And here he is returning the kickoff. And, you know, when you've got exceptional athletic ability like he does, he probably doesn't need a lot of work to catch a ball. A ball is kicked and run up the field and dodge a few people and go 99. So he's that kind of an athlete.
Now, offense, you've seen this combination before, Chris Miller to Michael Haynes.
Yeah, Michael Haynes is one of their outstanding receivers. They've got a bunch of them, and this guy's probably the fastest of the bunch. He's got great speed, and when he gets behind you and they put it on the money, you know, you got a problem.
Yeah. All right, we'll see that game on Sunday. Coming up next, though, right here on Channel 8, Monday Night Football, The Miami Dolphins against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Browns are 0-1. Dolphins have yet to play. Their game last week knocked out by Hurricane Andrew.
It should be a good game. I think, you know, Cleveland got embarrassed last week and by Indianapolis, I believe it was, and they're going to be looking to redeem themselves a little bit. Miami, it's their opening game, so they're going to be enthusiastic, so I look for an exciting game.
Well, Miami's got Marino and those guys. They got the passing game. There's Kosar, the Browns, but Miami can score at any time.
Oh, anytime. They got a great offensive passing game with Marino and Clayton and Duper and those guys, and I think their defense will be better this year, and as I said, I think Cleveland will be anxious to redeem themselves from their opening game loss.
Do you think quickly that the layoff from the Hurricane hurt the Dolphins at all? Or?
I think it would. I think you get ready, you know, you look forward to that opening game, that opening weekend, and you know you're going to play that day, and then all of a sudden they tell you got to wait a week, and I think it would hurt you. Pig, would you agree with that? I mean, it must seem like training camps forever before you play that opening game, you know. You got your preseason, you got an extra week. It just seems to me that you'd get a little bit dull and stale.
All right, Jim. Pig Golf, thanks for being here. We'll see you guys later. That's all she wrote for this edition of the Jim Mora Show. We'll be back next week. For now, goodbye and have a good week.
The Jim Mora Show has been brought to you by Louisiana Gas Service Company, by Coors Extra Gold, by Rallies, and by your local Dodge dealers. In-studio refreshment provided by Lucky Dogs featuring Likes Meats, by Pepsi, and by Zapp's Potato Chips. The Jim Mora Show has been a presentation of WVUE News 8 Sports.